snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books.
Hey guys! So I am here today standing up for once because I need to film this pretty quickly. I went out with Eleanor last weekend. It was kind of an impromptu last minute meetup that we just decided to do, and we went into London and we went to the cinema together, and we also went book shopping, and I of course love book shopping, so does Eleanor. When we get together we always seem to find amazing books. I don't know how it happens, we just have like book magic or something. So I picked up quite a few books whilst I was out with her. We went to one bookstore that we'd been to before, which is a second-hand one. We also went to an Oxfam bookshop that Eleanor had been to before, but I hadn't been to. So we just did those two shops, and actually we found quite a lot. As well as that, I've also ordered quite a few books over the last few days, because you may have already seen I've been doing hauls in my Friday reads, so if you haven't been watching them, you've been missing out on loads of books that I've been hauling. I've got more this week than I normally have because I've been picking up some books I've been meaning to get for a while, and there was a few new releases, things like that. So I'm going to show you guys what I've been picking up. Let's get started. The first thing I have to show you guys is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, parts 1 and 2. This is based on an original story by J.K. Rowling, and it's written by John Tiffany and Jack Thorne. I have already read this. I think it's getting mixed reviews. I actually liked it quite a lot, but it definitely has some flaws to it. It is kind of being marketed as the 8th Harry Potter. I wouldn't say it's that. I would say this is very different from the first few. It follows Harry and Ron and Hermione as they are much, much older, and they have families, and their families are starting to go to Hogwarts. So that's basically a very brief overview of what this is about, and it is written in script format as well, so it's definitely not a regular novel. It's a play that is written as a script, and that's all this is. So I will have a review of this because I think it's a really interesting one to discuss coming up very soon. The next one I have also already read, and this one is the second one in the Broken Earth series or trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. This is called The Obelisk Gate, and I was very kindly sent this one by Orbit. I actually requested it off of them, and I have again already read this, really enjoyed it. Didn't quite love it quite as much as the 5th season, but the 5th season was like really, really good. I still really enjoyed this. I gave the 5th season a 4.5 and I gave this a 4. Again, I'll have a review of this one coming really soon, but I definitely would recommend this, and if you like the first, I'm sure you'll like this one too. The next few books I have are all part of the same series. This is the series. I found all of these in one charity shop together, so clearly someone had just been in and dropped off the whole series, but this is the Tale of Inarin series, and it's by Juliet E. McKenna. I'm not sure if this is all of them, but this is the first 5 either way. The first book is this one. It is The Thieves Campbell, and the reason I picked this one up is because it has a quote on the front cover from J.V. Jones which says, "A wonderful debut." It's also published by Orbit, who are one of my favourite publishers, and it sounds pretty cool. In Inarin, the secret of magic is known only by an elite few. They live in a deliberate isolation under the watchful eye of the Archmage, but nothing lasts forever. Livak is a part-time thief and a full-time gambler, long accustomed to living by her wits and narrowly avoiding serious trouble. When she attempts to sell a stolen antique to a passing merchant, she finds herself pulled into a new and dangerous world of the political intrigue in which the stakes are higher than anyone involved can imagine. For the antique, she has acquired dates from a particular period in history about which little is known, but much has been speculated, and when the truth begins to emerge, Livak decides to take the greatest gamble of her life. So it sounds pretty cool. I haven't read any Julia E. McKenna yet, but I saw her at FantasyCon and she seemed so nice when I saw her there. I've also had some of you guys recommend her to me in the past, so I'm very, very eager to carry on with this series. I'll show you the next ones, but I'm not going to read the blurb, obviously, because I don't want any spoilers. So this is book 1. Book 2 is The Swordsman's Oath. Book 3 is The Gambler's Fortune. Book 4 is The Warrior's Bond. And book number 5 is The Assassin's Edge. And they're all quite retro, as you can see, so I'm very eager to get into this series, hopefully enjoy it. The next book I have is one that Eleanor found in one of the bookshops, and she said that it sounded like something I would like, and it's called Good Morning Midnight, and it's by Lily Brooks Dalton. Never heard of it before, but it's got a beautiful cover, kind of reminds me a little bit of the Long Way to a Small Angry Planet cover. It's very, very lovely. And this one says, gravity meets the snow child in this haunting new novel from an electrifying new voice. Augustine, a brilliant aging scientist, is consumed by the stars. The years he has scanned the universe trying to quantify infinity, to look back at the beginning of time itself. When the news of a catastrophic event arrives at the remote research centre in the Arctic Circle where he works and the researchers are evacuated, he insists on staying behind, but shortly after the last airlift departs, Augustine discovers a mysterious child, Iris. As time wears on, Augustine is unable to establish contact with the outside world. They are alone. It's published by Wadenfield and Nicholson, who I believe are an imprint of Orion and Hachette. It says it comes out in 2016 on the 21st of July, so very recently, but I've not heard of it and not seen it around, so I'm very happy to have found this one and got my hands on it. So that's that one. The next one I found in the same bookshop is Foxlow by Eleanor Wesselberg. This one I believe is about a cult, and I think I had it on one of my anticipated releases because A, the cover is gorgeous, as I think you'll all agree, but B, it just sounded really interesting, and I've heard a few mixed things. I think some people have really liked this, some people haven't, so I'm interested to sort of see where I fall. It says, "We were the family and Foxlow was our home. There was me, my name is Green. There was my little sister Blue. There was October, who we called Toby, and Elensia, Dylan, Liberty, Pet, and Egg. There was Richard, of course, who was one of the founders, and there was Freya. We were the family, but we weren't just an ordinary family. We were a new, better kind of family. We didn't need to go to school because we were a new, better kind of education. We shared everything. We were close to the ancient way of living and the ancient landscape. We knew the moors and the standing stones. We celebrated the solstice in the correct way with honey and fruit and garlands of fresh flowers. And we knew the bad and we knew how to keep it away. And we had Foxlow, where we were free. There really was no reason for anyone to want to leave." So it sounds a little bit ominous, and as I said, I think it has cult influences. I'm always fascinated by the idea of cults. I've watched TV shows about it, I've watched documentaries about it, I've read books about it, and I don't really think I've ever read a fiction book about a cult, so I'm definitely intrigued by this, and hopefully I like it. So the final ones that I found whilst I was out with Eleanor were this one, Duskfall by Christopher Hausberg. This is an ARC copy. Again, this one came out on the 21st of June 2016, so very recently. There are demons that even demons fear. Pulled from the frozen waters of the Gulf of Null, struck with arrows and near to death, Not has no memory of who he was, but his dreams are dark and he can kill a man with terrifying ease. Winter, a Tillian woman whose people have long been oppressed by humans, is married and abandoned by Not on the same day, when robed assassins attack their wedding. Her nascent magical abilities will lead her to a deadly addiction and phenomenal power, and Cynthia, priestess and true believer, has returned to her home city to find that her own sister is leading a heretical rebellion. A rebellion that only the Inquisition can crush. Their fates will intertwine in a land where magic and demons are believed dead, but dark forces still vie for power. And I think you'll agree the cover is very, very beautiful. Not sure what this is meant to be, but I'm guessing it has some significance in the story, so we'll see. It says, as all fantasy books are right now, if you like Brandon Sanderson, George R.R. Martin and Peter B. Brett, you will like this, and you guys know I like all of those, so definitely excited to give this a go. The final one that I picked up is one that Eleanor already has. It's called False Hearts and it's by Laura Lamb. This one is one I've been really looking out for. It's got quite a lot of glare. Sorry guys, metallic glare. And it's called False Hearts, as I say. I've heard really good things about this from lots of reviewers that I know. Also, Red Pages, come on now. We all love that. One twin is imprisoned for a terrible crime, the other will do anything to set her free. I rest my hand on hers, I can feel the mechanical beating of her heart. Despite our obvious terror, our hearts beat at the same steady pace. It'll be all right, T, I say, I promise. She looks at me, dangerous and untamed. I barely recognise her. You can't promise that, T. You can't promise that at all. So this sounds very, very cool. I cannot wait to dive into this and hopefully I will love it. I've heard great things about Laura Lamb and I follow her on Twitter and she seems lovely, so can't wait to give this a go. Now, moving on to some of the ones that I picked up for myself. I ordered these, I've already read them. They are book 3 and book 2 in the Parasol Protectorate series by Gail Carriger, which is Changeless and Blameless. As I said, I've already read these. I already own Solus, which is the first one in the series, in physical edition. I read all of these on my Kindle quite a long time ago, and I thought it was about time that I picked up the other ones in the series. I have ordered the final 2 as well. They are on their way, so I'm sure they'll turn up soon, but these ones are just going to go straight onto my red shelves because I have already read these, which is very exciting. Speaking of Gail Carriger, because we just were, I also picked up the final 3 in this series, which is the Finishing School series. We have Curtsies and Conspiracies, which is book number 2, Waistcoats and Weaponry, which is book number 3, and Manners and Mutiny, which is book number 4. I believe this is the final one. It's definitely the most recent one that's published, so hopefully it's the final one. I have the first one in this series already. I mentioned it in my August TBR that I'm going to be reading all of these this month, so I'm hopeful that I'll really love it. I believe it's kind of a crazy assassination school that a young girl goes to, and she learns all of this crazy poisoning assassination skill. I am very eager to get to these, and I'm sure I'm going to make good progress with them this month because Gail Carriger is such an easy read every time I read one of her books. Moving on to some other ones that I was sent. I've actually started reading this. It is Another Day in the Death of America by Gary Young. I requested this one from Faber and Faber because I saw this on Mercedes' channel and then on Jen's channel, and it sounded fantastic and horrible all at once. It's about a period of 24 hours in America. Random period, completely randomly chosen, random 24 hours, and within that period 10 young children between the ages of 9 and 19 died, and this is just basically telling you about each of those children. None of them were really recognised in the news because it's something that happens an awful lot in America, and all of them were shot for some reason or other. It might have been an accident, it might have been intentional. Either way, they were all shot, and so this is kind of a book about the problems of guns in America and the fact that there aren't really regulations and what happens as a consequence of the lack of regulations over there at the moment. And I think you'll all probably agree that this is a very important, prominent book at the moment because of how much gun crime we're hearing about in America and the fact that we don't actually hear about a lot of it as well. As I said, none of these deaths were particularly big news outside of their local community, which is devastating. I am at page 60 of this. I've already cried once, so it's very emotional, very moving. One I would certainly recommend getting your hands on. I believe it comes out in a few months. Definitely one that I'm looking forward to reviewing and telling you guys about and hopefully inspiring you to pick up because I think it's super, super important. Another one that I was sent is this one. It is called Strangewise, Tales and Curiosities, and it is written and illustrated by Robert Jimenez, I believe his name is. Sorry if I get that wrong. This is kind of like a pulp fiction magazine style publication with lots of different stuff going on inside. It's got text, as you can see, but it's also got pictures and adverts and illustrations and all sorts of things, so hopefully I like this. I'm very intrigued by the format and the style. So it looks a bit creepy. I'm hoping it's not too creepy. I'll report back and let you guys know what I think, but thank you to the author for sending this one out to me and getting in contact with me. And the final 2 that I have to show you right now are these 2, which I was sent on by Jen. Jen was having a clear out of some of her books and she offered out some of the ones that she was getting rid of, one of which was Human Acts by Han Kang. And I've heard fantastic things about this from various people and Han Kang generally. I haven't read any of Han Kang's work, so I definitely want to, and this one seemed like the one that appealed a little bit more to me. South Korea, 1980. In the wake of a viciously suppressed student uprising, a boy searches for his friend's corpse, a consciousness searches for its abandoned body, and a brutalized country searches for a voice. Human Acts is a riveting, poetic, and unrelentingly powerful examination of humanity at its most appalling, and its most hopeful. It is an act of extraordinary resistance and a refusal to forget. Throughout Human Acts, the ghost memory of the boy Dong-ho wanders, refusing to disappear, and so, in turn, our other characters refuse to stop asking why. Why does power exert itself with brutality? Why does the state silence the inquiries of the bereaved? Why does remembrance pose such a threat to the powerful? It's about Korea. It's about South Korea, which is interesting because I've not read anything about South Korea. And I'm very intrigued. I hope that I like it a lot, and I hope that it's an emotional read. It's kind of advertising itself that way, so we'll have to see. The final one that I have is this one. It is called Bodies of Water by V.H. Leslie, and this is published by Salt. And this is a super, super short little book. It says, after ministering to fallen women in Victorian London, Evelyn has suffered a nervous breakdown and finds herself treated by the water doctors in the imposing Wakewater House, a hydropathy establishment. Years later, Wakewater House is renovated into modern apartments, and Kirsten moves in, fresh from a breakup and eager for the restorative calm of the Thames. But her archivist neighbour, Manon, fills her head with the river's murky past, and with the men of science and art obsessed with the drowned women washing up on its banks. As Kirsten learns more about Wakewater's secrets, she becomes haunted by a solitary figure in the river and increasingly desperate to understand what the water wants from her. So it sounds like it's going to be quite uneasy, quite bizarre, quite odd. Definitely sounds like my kind of thing. I'm hopeful that I'll really, really like it. And thank you to Jen for sending this one and Human X to me. I believe that is everything. As I said, quite a lot of books. So thank you so much to all my friends and the publishers who sent them to me, and also to Eleanor for us going out in London and her spotting all of the books, because she has eagle eyes. She always just spots the best things and gives them to me. So thank you to Eleanor too for doing that. I had a fantastic time going up to London, as I always do, and I definitely just think that it's one of the best places to go book shopping. So if you ever get the chance, definitely check out all the secondhand bookshops you can find. They're amazing, or just any of the actual bookshops too. Of course, they're amazing as well. I had a great day, and I definitely would love to hear if you guys have anything to say about any of the books that I just picked up and hauled for you. Let me know which ones you really are excited for me to read, or if you've read any of them yourself. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.